Well, hi there, everybody out there in Bandhub land. This video was inspired by Sean's fantastic tutorial on how to put the OGG files into your DAW, your digital audio workstation, which is wonderful for lots of the DAWs that are out there, except for I use Sonar, and I use it on a PC, and Sonar does not recognize the OGG file as a native file. So therefore, we have to do a little magic. And I was curious after watching Sean's video to how people approach doing this. What I've done all this time was to go to the cache, the Bandhub cache, and take all of the OGG files, put them into an audio program, and I had to individually change them over to a WAV file or something that Sonar can recognize. Well, lo and behold, I found a great time saver and a real easy way of getting an OGG file into a DAW that does not typically recognize an OGG file. On a forum, I discovered a website called xiph.org, X-I-P-H, XIF or XIF, however they say it. And it includes a codec that integrates into the Windows either 32 or 64-bit system and recognizes an OGG file as a Windows usable format without having to change it to a WAV file, at least to some degree. First thing I needed to do was to go to my collab that I wanted to extract the files from, and chances are most of these OGG files are already sitting in your cache, but I've already cleared my cache. So we would go to the recording app, which downloads the files into the cache, so only the ones that you need will appear there. Now, while this is going on, it should only take a few seconds because actually I did not erase all the files. Some of them are still in there. But while that's doing its magic, we could take a quick look at the cache file and notice that it's filling with the appropriate files necessary for this collab to work in the recording app. Now, there's one thing to note, that most of these files that you see here, these OGG files, these are all the tracks. There's going to be a couple of the tracks that are huge. You know that it's a Bandhub track because it's, maybe a couple of hundred or a couple thousand kilobytes of information. But once this finally finishes loading up, you're going to notice that there's a couple of files that are on the order of 40, 50,000, 60,000. These files, unfortunately, will not allow the whole process to go through. This apparently is some sort of a mix of everything, and so what I need to do is get rid of this gigantic file because it will not translate into Bandhub. So let's just get rid of this one before we do anything, because it will not help us do anything. All these other files are the waves or the OGG files of this collab right here. And so I don't need the recording app any longer, so we could close this out. And now I have all the necessary information I need. I'm going to slide this over here, get it out of my way, and start my DAW up. My DAW right now is ready to accept any new files. Now, if I select an OGG file and slide it over here as I would with any other file and drop it, notice it does not go in there. because Sonar does not recognize this, I'm going to take a WAV file and just slide it over here and show you how easily it drops in. Same thing with an MP3 file. It will just drop right in, no problems at all. But I don't want to use those, so we're going to take those both out of there. So how do I get my OGG files into Sonar? Well, we have to go through the program itself by choosing importing audio. And I already had searched for my Bandhub cache. Now notice that nothing is available for me to import into my DAW. All the audio that Sonar sees is WAV files, AIFs, MP3s, and all these other things listed here. But OGG files are not typically looked for because it's not a file that's recognized by Sonar. So by putting that codec in and choosing all files of course allows me to see the OGG files. And now if I select all of my files, we have to click open because it has to be through a Windows process. It will now open all of those files while translating them through the codec. So now we have everything in Sonar, and I just saved myself a ton of time without having to transcode a whole bunch of different files to a usable format. Now I could go through the process of naming the tracks, what they are. One of the things I noticed about Sean's video, however, is when he imported everything into Adobe Audition, any of the tracks that did not start at the beginning of the song had to be moved to its appropriate location. And in this case, by doing it this way, it seems to take, each track seems to take with it all of its empty space prior to when the track comes in, so they all remain lined up regardless of how short a track it might be. For instance, if I'm looking through here, I notice there's a couple of little things here. This is probably a vocal harmony right around this area, this spot right here, and the OGG file allowed me to keep all the empty space before it and just plunked it right in the spot that it belongs without having to slide it around and find where it goes into the song. So I know I probably was a little verbose, and I apologize for that, but however, this seems to be a very nice, easy way of getting an OGG file into Sonar or other DAWs that don't typically see files like OGG. Thanks for watching, and I hope it helps you. We'll see you later.